Join us in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I know it's a hot and muggy night, so I want to take it in, there may be times I'm going to take and end up cutting the discussion short. I'm sure all of us want to get back to our homes where we have air conditioning.
I want to stay late.
And one other thing is that, just housekeeping, is that somebody approached me about, well, you don't deal with finances, and just to take and end up straightening this out, we belong to the Association of Town Finance Committees. Finance committees have three names in the state. They call it Warrant Committee, Advisory Committee, and Finance Committee. They all do the same function. So just get that. I'm gonna end up, I was asked to move up an item on the agenda. So once we finish after the budget actual, I'm gonna move up one of the items. Does anybody have a problem with that? This will be moving up the discussion on perpetual care. These gentlemen have come in today for that.
Thank you for coming, by the way.
Seeing none, okay. We got the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from July 12th, 2017.
Have a motion to accept the minutes of July 12th, 2017. Have a second.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none. Darlene?
Yes.
Bev?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
You can't.
Abstain.
Oh.
You weren't here.
weren't
You
here.
have to abstain.
Can't
That's okay.
Abstain.
Bob?
Yes. Yes.
I didn't call your name yet, Jeff. And Jeff, and I vote yes. Budget versus actual, we have, the reason I left that on there is that we may be referring to the one we saw last week. We don't have an end-of-year one. I don't know when the end-of-year budget to actual will be issued. And I don't think the one's been issued. Books close on the 15th of July. It may be a while before that FY17 end of the year budget to actual finishes off. Item number 8, review and discuss perpetual care funds for FY11 to 17. We'll go down to those.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
the reason I brought this to the board was because I had heard members of the Cemetery Commission ask many times for paperwork showing them what they had in their accounts. And no one ever answered them, and apparently they didn't get what they asked for. And this has been a couple of years.
I hear you shaking your head, so is that?
That's true.
That's true. Thank you.
So, something about this bothered me a little bit. That does happen once in a while. I think that people that put money in perpetual care trusted the people that come after them, that they could be safe in leaving their money in someone's hands that would watch over them. So the fact that they didn't get what they asked for time and time again kind of made me wonder, how come? Well, I had trouble getting it. I asked for a Freedom of Information Act at least twice and got a written response saying I had to pay some of money, which I really didn't have extra, so in a roundabout way, we ended up coming to the board, and the board has agreed. In talking to Mr. Seri the other night, he told me at one point in time, selectmen in previous years took money out of that account. Do you know about that?
No, it wasn't money out of that account. What it was is we weren't getting balances from the accountant. What Mr. Seri is talking about, I believe, is in 2013, a bill got paid in 2014, and the purchase was made in 2013. There was money in the 13 budget, but when we went and submitted the bill for that, the accountant said that there was no money left. And I said, wait a minute, we had encumbered that money. And he said, no, and I had the paperwork, but somehow they, lost the paperwork or whatever, and so they paid it out of the 2014 budget. But that was a purchase of a lawn tractors that we had bought.
That was later years, not in the back, because we're looking at 11 here now.
Yeah, 11, I don't know of them taking any money out of that. They took money back in 2010 out of our revolving account without telling us, but they've never taken perpetual care money.
Do you know why there would be a note on the ledger allocated summary, the general ledger for green
Well, before we
lawn?
get down into
Okay,
that, way
all right,
into the document, I'd
Go
like
ahead.
to,
All right.
I have some questions, just
All right. You're the man.
as an educational, I see expenses here and I don't understand them. You
Mm-hmm.
probably have a better understanding of them, and I'm sure some of the other individuals have it. I see Chairtown and Beltate, that's lumber companies. per
On
se.
one of your perpetual care,
Yes. This is the general ledger account for that account, I guess.
I think it's Pine Grove.
okay, yep, that would make sense. I was gonna say Pine Grove. We purchased lumber and screws and stuff to fix the fence at the
Oh, okay,
front of the
okay.
cemetery. I mean, it looks odd, but that's what.
Well, that's why,
So,
I mean,
yeah.
we need to take and get an understanding. We see this, and if we don't ask, we don't understand that.
I will tell you, you won't see a lot of expenditures from 2011 to 2017 because we didn't buy a lot, because we couldn't. It's
You
tough to, it's tough, well, it's tough to, we have an idea what we have, but it's tough to balance it when you don't, it's like your bank statement. If you don't get your bank statement, you can't balance. So we were very careful and didn't spend anything.
You can see that, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we were,
We'd
I don't-
rather
we
be
don't-
safe than sorry.
we don't
I
spend what we don't have.
I
so-
understand grave concrete, but I don't understand Home Depot. Same thing,
Home Depot, was that out of Pine Grove as well?
yes, it's all on the
Probably
same.
was screws and things for the fence or something
Okay.
like that.
Okay. Fisher Auto Parts,
Fisher Auto Parts,
that's out of Pine Grove.
I would have to look back. I don't know.
Probably
I know,
needed
I mean,
something
this
for
is
the
old, but-
truck.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then there are some like voided checks.
Yeah, Reset,
There's a couple, there's a Crucial, there's a Reset, there's a couple of Resets.
see, the one issue that I had a question of was on the Artemis Lee, I believe it was.
Yep.
Fund.
yeah.
On 5/31/2012, there's a per care PN for Hadley listed in here under that.
Which page is this?
This is page 4, it's about 6 pages in from the front.
Okay, because I still had a question on
Oh,
even
sorry.
the first page.
Oh, sorry, what?
I understand Georgia the jungle, you're taking down trees
Yeah.
to expand, that's pretty straightforward. But you have you pay, I'm taking it that you have 2 individuals or 3 individuals by name on this. This is small print,
I know, it is small print, and I haven't really gotten a chance to even look at the documents, so.
that's why I have magnifying glass. And there's payment made to those individuals, do we know,
Who are the individuals?
Leo Preventure, it says plot, why would they be,
Yes, because if they bought a plot back years ago and paid perpetual care, and they return it back to the town,
Oh,
you pay them back out of the perpetual care the same way.
oh, okay, so, all right. That makes sense. That makes sense. I can understand Lawrence excavation,
Because they
once
put
you
the
get
money
the
in perpetual
trees,
care from that start.
once you cleared the trees back, and I think that was around 11 or 12, there was, you increased the size of the cemetery up there substantially.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand those. Anything on page 2? So we can end up trying to move along here. There's questions? Now, do you have, this is showing my ignorance, do you pour your footings yourself, or do you have
Yes.
grave come in? Because there's a couple on here for,
Sometimes we dig them and have graves pour them if we have a lot of them,
yeah,
particularly around Memorial Day time.
yeah, that makes sense.
If we only have a few, you know, we don't get like 10 or 12, we only get 3 or 4 or 5, and it's cost effective, the guys will pour them themselves. Depends on how many we get.
The consultant firm,
Consultant.
yeah, there's one for
CHS.
CHS Consultant Group.
Yeah, that's, Tom Daly, he, I don't remember what the payment was for, but I believe it was for consulting us with perpetual care issues.
Oh, okay.
He's a perpetual care expert.
I figure you know the business better than we do, so.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I think that's what it
I
was.
think what happened was we called him to see about this.
You call him that they can find out about this.
To try to get this.
Figure out how to get it,
Wow.
to be
That-
honest.
That's bad. That's
Yeah,
really,
Well, we've been trying to get this
I hope us getting it for you leads to a positive outlook, or
I'm
positive.
hoping that they will continue to give it to us from here on out. They should, you know, at least quarterly.
Perpetual Care PG League, I mean,
There are several different perpetual care
is
lots.
this somebody has a perpetual care account, and because it looks like interest is being dropped into this thing, because it's only for under $1, most of them. There's like
Yeah.
3 or 4 of them.
Yes, because those are smaller lots, that families did themselves. Like Artemis Lee Perpetual Care is on the Lee lot itself, there's no other. Pine Grove Perpetual Care is on the whole cemetery, everybody pays into that, or most people do. Green Lawn is the same way, and then you have a few, and those particular ones are because they have stones that are really astronomically big, and they're expensive, and they're hard to care for. And so, Artemis Lee in Pine Grove, there are several Hadley lots in Pine Grove that have perpetual care on just theirs. Jeffrey Brewer lot in Green Lawn, just on theirs only.
Yeah, there was a big statue put out a couple of years ago.
Yes,
Huge, nice,
that's the Jeffrey Brewer, lot.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why they put their own on their own lot, and they put a lot more into it than what most.
I guess. Page 6, let's see, let's go further into this thing. Is there any questions? You had a question, Bob?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I had a question that was on page 4.
Page 4.
It's more, of I believe a couple of things here, accounting issues. This looks like Hadley is under the Artemis Lee, for some reason. Which is 5/31/2012. It's like $3.09.
Well,
Well, just-
Bob, I would not be surprised with
Yeah.
accounting errors.
Yeah.
Way things have been.
Philip Hadley and Artemis Lee are two separate accounts. accounts two separate lots.
That's what I've,
Yeah.
looking through here, that was fairly obvious.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, my opinion at least, it looked like there was a lot of accounting issues over the years going back and forth in this, and I can understand maybe why the reluctance to supply you with,
That's what we figured, to be honest.
I mean, it's,
We went in and talked to.
because my understand, and maybe it's a wrong understanding, but to me, perpetual care account was that we place money in, whether it be, when you sell lots, or somebody establishes one, that they shouldn't be touched, and the only time they should be touched is to take and end up using for that particular purpose, for the overall cemetery or that person specifically.
That's correct.
Is that,
That's perpetual care, and the other thing about perpetual care that people don't understand is the perpetual care principle is not what you can touch. That is supposed to stay in accounts, and the treasurer is supposed to invest that, and you're supposed to work off the interest only. And that interest rolls over. That's why it can be a perpetual care. If you start spending the principal,
yeah,
then it's not perpetual any longer.
no, it's not, it's
So you
right.
understand?
You're
So
using,
that's,
right.
so that's kind of why we didn't spend really any money out of those accounts.
I don't blame you for not spending, because
Before
you,
2011, we
No.
were spending $6-7 grand out of each account, and we didn't do that because,
just to show my ignorance, I know when we bought, my in-laws' lot, we paid, I think they paid $100 at that time. $1 for the lot and $99 for perpetual care.
it's similar to that here. It's a,
No,
it's
that
a high
is-
amount to perpetual care and a smaller amount,
Is that still the case, or,
yes,
oh,
yeah.
still $100?
No, for, the smallest lot we have, Will, is a 2-grade lot, and the breakdown is $545 is the total cost. 500 goes into perpetual care, 40 goes to the town for the piece of property, and 5 for a deed.
Oh, okay,
So, and we are reviewing what other towns are getting for their lots, because we haven't for a while. And where we're lacking is probably where the town cost is. We should up that a little bit, so it might go to like $585 or something like that, and the town gets $80 instead of 40.
well, thank you for explaining that, that's just, that's
Yeah.
good information.
What are allowable expenses under perpetual care?
Anything that you can beautify your cemetery with or care for your lots. And that includes materials as well as, you know, so if we're going to do new filling of graves, we can buy loam to fill the graves, we can reseed, we can fertilize. You can buy equipment with it to mow your cemeteries, but as soon as you buy it for perpetual care, you can't mow anything else with it. It's just, and it actually gets very strict to the point where if you buy it with green lawn, you have to mow in green lawn. If you buy it with pine grove, so we try to stay away from buying equipment and more spending it on supplies and things like that that you can use in those places. Because it ties your hands for mowing all your commons and your other town properties.
That doesn't limit you to taking, end up buying like grass seed for one and using it some, on the other one under perpetual care, does it?
It does, as long as it's in that cemetery.
Oh, wow,
So
And
if
so
you use it, whatever you use for green line.
It's really tough to do that, but we
Wow.
make every effort to do that.
that because you can't keep grass seed over a year or so.
No, so.
You either buy it, if you buy a 50-pound bag, you better use it. Any other questions going further into this? I know there's further into this document.
Yeah.
Way back into the document, probably about 3/4 of the way, the first real big issue that we ran into was on Green Lawn Trust. It's got a notation on the page, will transfer $17,578.34 from general fund.
What page is that on, Will?
That's way back about 3/4 of the way in.
Do you see this much?
Yeah.
And then it's this page, okay? So just keep, start at the back and flip forward,
It's within 20 pages of the back.
okay?
Budget history?
There's writing on it.
Ledger history, start date 7/1.
I'm gonna go get those copies.
Yep.
Yeah, the first one's on the green lawn.
There's another one too.
We transfer from. I see it. I got one here. I got the other one.
Yeah,
Is
there's
that
two
the
of
only
them.
two you found? Two of them?
Yep,
That's one of the ones that we found, yes.
And that's going from general fund to both to green lawn or both?
No, that's just going into green lawn, from what we can gather.
The other one looks like Pine Grove.
There's another one that's just under Pine Grove, and that's for $20,045.91.
That's going in Pine Grove?
I stole these. That's fine.
No,
we will-
he doesn't.
we will,
We have three
No, no,
commissioners,
give-
but I
give
can
that
make
to
copies
Paul.
for them.
Huh?
give that one to Paul,
Yeah.
then he'll
That's
have one.
Our biggest concern is that
See it?
how can we take this money from general funds if we're fully budgeted here this coming year? I mean, that's,
This is the first we've seen it.
I understand that, I understand that.
It doesn't surprise me. We had concerns that we thought maybe they were depositing some of the perpetual care into the general fund. And I think that may have been why they're now transferring it back out. They've caught it in the audits, and that would be my guess, but I'm not the accountant.
I
don't know.
would think that's a question that we have to, I mean, you would end up having to, ask the accountant why the transfers to general fund into those, because if your funds are not there, that's one thing, and that they can end up moving from the general funds. I mean, the ledger basically, when you look at the budget to actual, it should show that money in your account per se, and it shouldn't be coming from general funds. General funds are what the town operates, but like I said, perpetual care is strictly the perpetual care.
Yeah,
So I mean, that's something that we looked at and said, that doesn't seem quite right, and
Yeah, I am guessing that would just be a guess, that they deposited one. See, what we do is we do a turnover.
Yeah.
When somebody buys a lot, I do a turnover and I specify which accounts the money goes into. And the treasurer and the accountant are supposed to deposit them into those accounts.
Yep.
Now, somewhere along the line, the past accountants
found money.
or treasurer did not deposit those into that account probably.
Selectman has his
Now-
hand up. He may have something to add to this.
yes,
So, I know you guys spoke about this last time, when I had gotten the paperwork, I didn't really have much time to review it. Upon reviewing it, those two transfers, if you look at the page, the back page where it says use book value, not the very last page, but it's the one where there's another handwritten message on there, I believe it's within 10 pages of the back. And at the header of it says Town of Templeton People's
Funny.
United Bank, AC account. So,
Oh, use book value,
yeah, so what that indicates there, if you look, there's two asterisks on the perpetual care funds, Pine Grove and Green Lawn. Those book balances are exactly what you have in a bank account. So with those transfers being made.
oh, you mean where it says use book value?
Yes, that page,
Okay.
exactly that page. So if you look at those two numbers, right, we'll look at the Pine Grove Perpetual Care, we see that it's 261,918. Actually, I have the other one open, so the Green Lawn Perpetual Care, we see 77,000. So if you look at the ending balance on that page where there's the transfer of 17,500, the ending balance of the Green Lawn cash is 60,000, roughly. So with the transfer of the 17,000 into that account, you're gonna come out with a balance of $77,000. So that balance there is what is in a bank account, and to true them up on the GL side, that's the transfer coming out of the general fund. So those transfers, when I spoke to Kelly, had happened at 6/28. Actually, let me reread the email here. They have been done on 6/28/2017. I missed these in early June when we corrected the balances on all accounts to match the GL. So in the audit paperwork, they had discussed with us that we need to close out bank accounts that don't have any cash in them, which we had done. And we also need to create separate accounts away from the operating fund, so that we don't touch these monies, because they should be in a separate account, not to be mixed in with the
General
cash that we
fund.
have. So that's exactly what's taking place here, is they're establishing the balances so that you guys can receive your, just a bank statement that says this is the funds that you have, rather than having to decipher through all the muck in the accounting balances.
Yeah,
So
they
we-
shouldn't have to go that long without getting any information.
And that
It's
was,
so
that was the
unfair.
process that Kelly had described to me, was that they're truing up the bank account to what it should be, making the actual bank account the GL match, and that's what you see as those transfers, so that the cemetery will receive just a bank statement saying these are what the funds are, and then the GL balance obviously should match that hand in hand. And if they don't, there's obviously.
The
would be
page I'm
future issue.
looking at has ending book value of $261,918.35.
Yes.
Wish I could see it, but.
So if you look on.
And I don't see the $20,000, maybe it's on a different page.
So if you look at the $45,000, so we're looking at the, what is that, the Pine Grove? Yes, Pine Grove Fund. So the book balance should be the 261,918.35. And if you look, the principal balance is 216,258. And that's what we can see as the principal, the fund balance reserve on that page is the 216,265.00. Then we look at the principal amount, which is the 45,000. I mean, not the principal, the interest, the earnings amount is 45,000 on that book value. On the general ledger side, we see that it's a 65,708. So you're gonna have to transfer out $20,000 of those funds to give you what the balance should be, which would be on that, once again, on the book balance page, which
This
would be
this
the 40,000.
basically shows a lack of good accounting.
Yes, and that's
part of-
something we're all very familiar with in
Yeah,
Templeton.
yeah.
So now this is to true it up, we have the bank balances, and moving forward, you guys will just get one statement, the true statement of what it should be. And these are all coming off the auditor's numbers, so we know these to be true.
Okay, so it's not like we had to do a transfer to do this. We're just making the account,
Match the bank
Match what-
account, which based off the auditor's
okay.
numbers.
all right.
That's
These
a
are numbers
relief.
that we grabbed in Templeton.
But the way it's
Roselli.
stated here about from general funds, gives the impression general funds are being transferred
You're
And
using
that-
that money to.
within the budget, and you can't
And I
do
was
that.
concerned myself, that's why I had reached out and
Yep.
kinda, I know you guys couldn't really reach out with taking a vote, so I took the proactive approach and reached out to Kelly.
I mean, that's right, we just brought it up last week, we wouldn't ask that question until this week.
Yep, yeah, and that's when the email, that's what she said to me, it was through
Well,
six.
that's a relief, because there's no money to
Transfer.
give them.
And
I will say that, that this accountant that we have in place right now has been better than the past two or three.
Well, that's not saying
We
much.
could not get any information from the past two or three. I know that Kelly has been trying to get the budgets all balanced. She had a mess when she walked in here. We've gotten through 13, 14, 15, 16. You know, if this is to balance it and make it where it should be, then, you know, but we're gonna review them. We're definitely gonna go through them.
I mean, this committee actually brought up an issue about accountants, not her, not sure, one or two back, and had questioned because of the response that the committee got from the accountant on how to take an end up, and I'm not gonna go into what account, because then you'll figure out who it is, and I'm not here to take an end up chastising any individual.
Alright,
But it didn't seem right to us as to that accounting practice. And this was a person that was a CPA.
Yeah.
I guess just a lack of municipal accounting principle.
The only thing I want to ask is, I'm sorry, I didn't make everybody a copy. I was looking at the reports that are in the town reports. Like in 2012, all you had listed is one perpetual care account. How do you do that, where other years you've got
2012.
both of them listed? You know?
Yes. The commissioners decided to put them together instead of breaking Green Lawn and Pine Grove up. I think they're gonna break it up. I think
You
they.
should, because
have
it's
been
deceiving
recently.
having it like that.
Yeah. And the other
We
thing,
really
the other
wanted
thing
to
is,
see
what
it.
we were reporting in the annual reports is what we had for expendable, which is that interest, not all the principal and all that. If the accountants and the banks give us our statements, then we can report all that principal and all of it, and it gets you a much better picture.
Yeah, I mean, for interest, if that's a true number of 45,000 for that cemetery, you shouldn't have any problems with expenses to help you run that. I just,
And you know,
I would hope not.
Well, when I first came here in 1990, we had about $5,000 in each of those accounts, and I assure you, there's a whole lot more in those accounts right now, according to my numbers anyway, so.
your
All right,
numbers,
so
you-
you
you
can,
have-
now you have something to
You
track
have
with.
a slight idea, I'm sure you kept some level of books. Some of these numbers kind of sound correct to you as
They
far
do.
as?
They're very close. I have had this discussion with Kelly, and she, like I said, she's been the first one that's gotten us even close to the right numbers. I
it
mean,
makes
she
me
has really
feel
tried.
better. Artemis Lee was an important man in this town. He's the one that planted all of those elm trees in the common.
Yeah, the ash trees, yeah.
You know, people like him invested their money so that their burial plots would be kept well.
The Artemis,
That counts for something.
yeah, the Artemis Lee Fund doesn't have a whole lot of money in it. It's like $2,000 or $3,000.
But back
And
then,
it doesn't
what-
get a lot of interest, but that was a lot of money back then, and we haven't really touched it because of that. It doesn't get a
Gotta
lot.
And
figure
with
it.
budgets being tight, you should be looking at perpetual care, and most of the expenditures that the town would give you would go through your recreation areas and your common areas, so you're not ending up, that's a good way to balance.
Well, that would be easier to do if you get those balancing
Yeah.
Like I
sheets
said
too.
before, though, we didn't dare spend anything, because we didn't know we had.
Yeah, well, you can't let them go to,
You can't-
can't let them
Well,
go to
now-
hell either.
Now you have this,
Now we do.
I hope that helped you out.
It will.
We thank you for coming in and
Thanks for
spending some
doing it
time.
for us.
And that's what we're supposed to be doing, whether the watchdogs to help out departments.
Yeah, I gotta give my
I hope this is
my
helpful.
members
If for
credit.
some reason you need our support going forward on anything, and you need us to have a joint meeting, just let us know. We ended up bringing this document up, and we'll support the effort that they can make sure that these accounts are kept in good order. Even going forward too.
Well, thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much.
Alan,
Thank you.
I took care of those little trees for you in the common,
Yes,
the chestnuts.
yeah,
We sprayed them
they
today.
look good.
We sprayed them, the Japanese beetles were eating them.
Yeah, it's getting warm and the Japanese
So
beetles
we-
are not coming a lot.
We took care of those
I appreciate it, thank
this
you,
afternoon.
thank you.
Okay?
Thank you for coming
Thank you
in.
very much.
You're welcome, thank you for doing
Makes
this.
me feel better, I know that.
I hope that helped you guys out.
It did, we will, let you know
I mean,
how we make out with,
like I said, I really mean it. If you guys still need help, we're here to take and end up helping make sure the finances of this community are done correctly.
Yeah,
People don't necessarily like the questions we ask, because we push back and we find stuff out. But that's
Well, that's your job.
what we're here for, the finances of the community.
Makes
You don't wanna
perfect sense
stay for
that the
the rest
more
of the meeting?
information you have about this, the better you can do your job.
Yes.
that's right.
Well, like I said, it's the same thing with the budgets and stuff, when you put in a budget, when you don't know what you got.
Oh, yeah. It was obvious looking through this that you didn't know in the last few years, because like you said, it just rolled,
Yeah,
you know?
It's better to be safe than sorry, you know?
thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Very good.
Turn that AC up.
The next item
The one
is
next to you is
open
on.
meeting law documents.
It's
I had this table from last week, because not all our members were here, and I wanted to address this as a package. We received on June 24th, all the documents, and I think everybody got a copy of them.
He says that interferes with the microphone.
Oh, it does?
Yes.
There's no microphone in front of me, you moved it.
No, that's
Speak
why
to
he
him.
said no.
Is it?
Yes and no.
You're good.
Okay.
can't lose a member.
You won't lose, man, just
I don't wanna pick you up and carry you
I
out
appreciate
again.
it, I can feel that breeze here.
For some reason, we did not get on distribution for the
Yeah, my coat.
open meeting law as well as the conflict of interest documentations back in March. We get them on June 24th. My concern was, the last 2 pages is acknowledgement that we received them. I wanna make sure everybody passed theirs in,
Yeah.
okay? The other thing I wanted to point out is, when you look at the summation for the open meeting law, there's a training session. I looked at the slides, and it pretty well talks about the open meeting law and breaks that down. It's already on paper, so if you wanna go slides, it's there also.
Oh, boy.
The next thing under documentation is, yesterday, everybody saw that we received an email. Everybody got that email?
Yep.
On the open meeting law, complaint. Let me just go through this. It was, the open meeting law complaint was against 4 members of the advisory committee, for violations of them discussing stuff on a couple of blogs. Our interest here for this evening, and I'm going to end up holding it to that particular fine, is how we end up proceeding with this. Under instructions for public body that receives a complaint, and that's us, the chair must disseminate the complaint to the members of the public body. Well, we all received it. The public body must review the complaint within 14 days. After reviewing, but within 14 days, the public body must respond to the complaint in writing and must send the Attorney General a copy of the complaint and description of the action the public body has taken to address. At the same time, the body must send a compliance copy to the respondent. The public body may delegate this responsibility to its counsel or staff member, but only after it has met to review the complaint. If a public body requires more time to review the complaint and respond, it may request an extension of the time for good cause by contacting the Division Open Government. Under this particular one, because of the summer and I don't know what people's schedules are, I would like to end up addressing this one first and have a motion to request an extension.
I make a motion to request a an extension from the Division of Open Government to extend the 14-day response time.
Is there any time limit that you wanted to extend it?
Well, let's see. Let me go back to August 16th.
That's, yeah, okay. That's a 2-week period. I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Darlene,
Yes.
Bev,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. The next thing, as far as this, is, since this only has, pertains to 4 particular folks on the commission, we may delegate this responsibility to one of those individuals for each one of the complaints. Is there any one of you that would like to take and end up stepping up since this complaint was against you, or at least one of them?
I would like to make a motion to form a subcommittee.
If you do a subcommittee, then it has to be, I believe, does it have to be a public hearing, or or can we not have a public hearing on
Oh,
subcommittee?
okay. All right, yeah.
No, you can't do without it.
So we don't want a subcommittee, we just want to assign this task.
Right, we wanna
Okay.
take an, just assign, it says you can assign to an individual. Doesn't say you have to take it in up, creating a subcommittee.
Okay. I'm willing to work on it. I don't know if anyone else is willing to work on it with me.
I'll help her.
Only one person can have a committee of two, okay? We have Julie that will, respond to one. I'll take it as a motion that she will respond to one of the complaints against the committee.
I'll respond to the other one.
Uh,
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. And I would say it's probably, just looking at the way it's laid out, is the one that's on page 3, starts out with your name, Julie, so that would probably be the one to
Okay.
respond to.
Yep.
Have a motion and a second?
I'll second.
We already have a second,
Oh, sorry.
okay? So
Doing good.
we have
I'm
assigned,
reading, sorry.
we have assigned one of the complaints to get a response. The written response, we will review at our next meeting, and if we have a quorum, and if we don't have a quorum, it will be on the next meeting if we're granted the extension. Darlene,
Yes.
Bev,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. There's a second one, and it pertains, from what I can end up seeing, more so about the second blog.
June 17th.
Is that the June 17th?
Yes, the 17th.
Okay, I would like to respond to that one, work on that response.
Okay,
I'll second that.
we have is that in the motion, Mr. Bennett?
Yes, I would make a motion that Advisory Committee member Jeffrey Bennett be allowed to respond to the June 17th, 2017 complaint.
No, once you establish that, we'll bring it back and we'll vote on both of these. And we have a second by Bob?
Yep.
Okay. Did you get that, Paul?
Yeah, what was the date on that one?
This would be the,
June 17th.
June 17th. June 17th,
Yeah.
I got July
Okay.
on. Okay.
okay, we have a motion on that. And a second. Darlene,
Yes.
Bev,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. Okay. Just to give you, just to bring it up per se, I responded back to, since I had company, I responded back to,
Is this open meeting law?
pardon me?
Are you talking about open meeting law?
No,
Okay. I just had some material to distribute regarding the open meeting law.
oh, okay, okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Two, goes that way, goes that way.
Is that it, Julie?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
I just wanted to give that information.
Okay, that's additional information that some of the members that didn't have that received, okay. The next item on the agenda is an update on the FY16 report. After going through it, I found more than the 4 items that were rejected and that were not in the report that was issued by, that was edited. After going through it and trying to get it into more towards the form that, after the editing that was done, and consolidating that, that was sent to the administrator. And I have not, as of this time, I haven't heard back as to the inclusion or not inclusion. It contained 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Six transfers that were not approved. Some of them were initially and some of them were resubmitted. But on the 6th, there was three of them that were submitted and rejected because of the information that we had. So that's the status update on that. Next would be the 911 grant that we tabled 2 weeks ago. And you're gonna probably have to refer back to the budget versus actual. There was questions on that at the last meeting concerning the deficit.
When I look at the backup material that we got, that was printed June 21st, 2017, and it's not showing, it shows that there's money in the account at
Uh-huh.
that point in time, after June 16th payroll. That was the last entry that we had.
Yep,
But then when we go to the budget to actual, which is on page 11, I believe,
yes, it is, on page 11.
that's where it indicates a deficit in the 911 grant of $22,905.08. So I don't think the backup material that we have for the 911 grant
Yep,
has the last entries,
okay.
because it's not showing a deficit at that point in time.
Okay, how do we want to proceed on this?
I'm looking.
Yes,
My understanding, the books haven't been closed.
that's what?
The books have not been closed for town. So there may be an adjustment to that coming in the 13th period is what they call it of accounting, which is usually the year end. That's my guess. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, the books close on the 15th,
Yeah.
officially.
Are they officially closed by the 15th?
Yes.
Okay.
But we're required by law to close them on the 15th. That's if they can end up from the 1st to the 15th to make
Okay.
all those adjustments.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Most of our bank statements don't come in until, I think, after the 15th, so. But then again, I mean, all transactions should have been in by the 15th, if that's what it is. Okay.
Right. Yeah, that's a substantial, and that's on the 29th. That's actually
Right,
one day before the end of the month.
right, the close of the fiscal year. What the hell is it? 12.
Mr. Chairman, just, what is the date on that budget to actual? Or do you know?
6/29,
That's when it was printed?
yes.
9 and 10 and.
That's when it was, that's when it was printed and issued.
Okay, so yeah, then
It was generated on the 29th.
so you wouldn't have the most up-to-date
It was
budget actual.
generated on the 29th at 9:51 a.m.
Okay, so my suggestion is I'd wait till the actual final 6:30. edition that has all the transactions in there.
Well, it wouldn't be until after the, July 15th.
Yes, yes. And I think, to my understanding, yet again, like I said, with the reconciliations and things like that, it wouldn't be till the end of July is usually when she's ready to supply all the materials.
Okay.
In 2 weeks, I think, yeah, it would definitely be pertinent to review it then.
Yeah, because in the FY16, there was deficits actually on that final one that was issued in 16.
So, yeah, that would be the crucial one to review.
So should I make a motion that we table this again now until we get the, close of year, final?
Is that in the form of a motion, Darlene?
Yep, she
Yes.
did.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second? Yep.
Deb?
Yes,
Yep,
Darlene, yes?
Yes.
Bev?
yes.
Julie?
yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. Okay.
Right into the next meeting.
One other question that I had on this that we might want to ask about, it says allocated in the budget to actual is 133,212, 26 cents. But I'm not sure what the original balance was with this ledger, the backup material. It doesn't seem, it has 144, 820, 27. So I don't understand why the numbers are different.
Yeah, there's a second one that shows a credit and ending 140, is that? Oh, that's
Right.
six, that's in 16, excuse me. I'm sorry, that was in FY16. That was on,
Where?
that was on the third page,
Now I'm going to the last page of the backup
oh,
material.
back, the last page. Oh, I see what you're talking about,
See
the
what I'm saying? Yeah.
144,
It's like-
820?
Yeah, and that doesn't seem to match the 133, 212, 26, which is on the budget to actual as being allocated.
That's what you mean. How do we want to proceed on this?
Last page.
The last page of this sheet. This is the backup material. for
Oh, okay,
911.
I don't have a copy.
Oh, all right. So, here. This is what we had, like your beginning balance.
Yeah.
All right, and that's what was left. And then on this, it's 133, now 144. Okay? So I'll leave those there for you to take notes off of. Maybe we need new backup material
Yeah,
for the 911 grant? I don't know what else to do at this point.
This is the 29th still.
Yep. Yep.
so we need new backup material, is that as a
I-
motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we ask for more current updated backup material for the E911 grant.
Yep,
Okay, do I have a second?
yep, second. Makes sense.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to take and request updated backup information on 911 grant. Can I have a volunteer, because I'm gonna be busy this next week, I got training and stuff, and I'll be talking about that. If somebody would like to take and end up sending them a message, I'd like to assign that individual to ask that.
Hey, I'll do that.
Oh, you got the others, I'd like to see if I can get one out of the members that they can, would that be something you wanna end up taking on, Paul, or?
I can't this week.
Huh?
I can't this week.
Okay,
I can't either. I can't either, actually.
I'll take it on, but I need a copy of that.
okay. Well, this was sent to you, by the way, but that's okay, I can give you a copy of this. Yeah, it just requests an updated copy of this as of the end of the year with all the stuff. Have a motion and a second to request the 911 grant backup data effectively after that. Because I will end up asking, should be pretty straightforward, asking when the end of the year BVA, I will take that on, but you can end up, and basically you can say that you've been assigned this by the chairman, per se. We have a motion and a second. They can ask for the backup information, so that when we get the end of the year, the BVA, that we can end up looking at that. Darlene,
Yes.
Bev,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Yes.
Bob, yes. Jeff,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. Okay. Discussion on format for a report to town meeting for advisory. This was brought up by Mr. Bennett back in, what, June?
Thanks.
You all set?
In the June timeframe, and I said this would probably be more appropriate,
June or earlier.
yeah. So you wanna take an open discussion on that?
Yeah, this committee's been talking about this, discussing it for a while, since it's required by, or it's allowed by the town bylaws, that any committee give a report to town meeting. And more than just a summary of the budget process that was done this year, we actually have commentary on the budget process, the budget itself, and make, I think, some formal recommendations or support. For instance, if there's a debt exclusion or an override. Report concerning the revolving funds, to let people know that there's, what the limit is, if there's of what one revolving fund could be, what the total of them can be. We'll have to check on and get aligned with the Municipal Modernization Act and stuff. But, and one of the reasons I kind of brought it up more than once, but I brought it up recently. There's some towns, they actually put out a document that they such as this is from the town of Hubbardston. And you get this, the residents get this like a minimum of 2 weeks before town meeting. And it's nothing fancy. It's, I don't know, I think it's 11.5 by 11 by, I don't know, 19 or something. I mean, it's nothing really fancy. And it has the articles, it has a line item spreadsheet for the budget. It has for against statements for ballot questions and debt exclusion overrides. And the articles for major funding things. And at the beginning of it, it does have a report of the Finance Committee. And they state, required by Hubbardston bylaws and charter, the Town Finance Committee review the operating budgets for the town and the school. And they give, the state of the town's finances is grim. And they discuss the percentage of the school's budget that the town is facing, any increases. It describes this is the 17 budget, this is from last year. and they changed it a little bit this year, they're a little more inclusive information. But, and again, it's nothing fancy, but it's something I haven't seen the advisory committee do in a while. And I just thought it would be, and it's this time of the year, so it's not like we have to have it next month. But we could gather, if anyone so chooses, look at other towns' warrants, or go to the state websites, or come up with our own, a format that we have time to kick around, what we include in it. And when we go to town meeting, when it comes time for the report of the committees, we stand up and give our say. If touch on such things as, it didn't really get formally kicked around too much, but the fact that there was, $100,000 shortfall in this year's budget. Why is that? What was, what is the cause? What was the driving force that increased that budget? And it was most of it was the new two full-time fire positions that are required to keep the ambulance service, the ALS license. And next year, there'll be 2 more. That's what was planned on, and that was it's in the fiscal 18 budget book. And there are concerns with the fiscal 19 budget, because again, they have those 2 new positions, and it's just one thing. And I think it's incumbent upon this committee to give an outline or a synopsis of
Where
the
we're at.
finances and what's what. So when people see, revolving funds, hey, yeah, we have them, they can't be more than this, and total, they can't be more than this, which they do in this book, in this little pamphlet. And just general information like that you generally don't see, or is not really brought up and spoke about. Sometimes some of the information might be in a handout, but I just thought it was something that could be looked into, and if we come up with something, to give a formal report at town meeting, as the bylaw, says we should do.
Debbie?
I think I gave Jeffrey a copy of one that Templeton did send out at one time. So they did do a separate document that they sent to everyone that was a voter in the town, or a taxpayer. And it struck me more than once at town meeting when people would be asked to vote on any issue that involved us borrowing money. They were told, it'd be $138, $138,000 a year, but they would never tell them how many years. People wouldn't know what we owe already. I think that every year they should have an accounting of what our outstanding debt is, when it's going to be over, expire, or whatever you want to call it, and anything new, what its long-term value is going to be, and how it's going to affect the taxpayer. Because it's not fair to ask them to vote for something without them having a real clear picture of what this is going to do to their pocketbook. And I agree with Jeffrey. I think that there's a lot that can go into this little document. It'll give them something to think about before they walk into town meeting. It'll give them the information they need to make a decision.
When Jeff brought this up, because I'll put my 2 cents in, there's been a number of years since I've been looking at other communities and what they do. It hasn't worked well thus far if they can end up creating something like that, but I do agree with them. It would take an effort on us as an entire board to probably pull this together, different pieces pulling it together to get something like this. Some documents have it, and I haven't looked at Hubbardston, but as many pages as they have, that's a very simple one, I'm sure. There is some that I have seen that are quite extensive, and they explain a lot about the debt, what it's used for, what they actually end up saying that they don't recommend us establishing more debt, at least as citizens that are on this committee, we can end up telling the committee, the community, about where we stand and the impact to the overall community to they can end up running it. And that's, the community should know it's their money that's running this town. And it's I think it's really and I agree with you, Jeff, because I've seen so many advisory or finance committees that put out some type of booklet, and that's, I totally agree. I would like to end up seeing us maybe spend some time when looking at some communities, if you wanna take a look at one, or each one of us take a look at a community and see what they have established, and come in with, some level of a document showing what they have come up with, or we can end up having, I could look up a couple if you want, and, whatever, and use that as the baseline for, and a template for, establishing what we wanna do. We can end up putting as much, or in what we think would be the, at least starting out point, and maybe build upon it. Some stuff, when I've seen some of these documents from other communities, they put something in, and it's a case of, it gets updated versus creating a new document every year. Certain pages. There's some pages that have to be created, such as the budget, if you're gonna take it, because the budget's not gonna be the same every year for every department. That's kinda what I envision. I don't know what everybody else wants to end up going with this, but we can end up doing that and establish some format. And that's why I agreed with Jeff that we should establish a format for this. Yes?
I'd like to say, I support that idea. I think that the citizens should definitely be informed of what is coming before them in terms of debt, in terms of what we're trying to raise for money and what we're trying to build. My only concern to the board is the scope. So when you look at, we'll say John Doe, he's a corn farmer, we'll say, in town. When you try to explain complex financials to somebody, it's like trying to explain the U.S. debt. And it's something that, when you explain we're $20 trillion in debt, it sounds like an astronomical number. When you look at what the interest payment is and how much of a fraction that is of our GDP, it becomes an entirely different conversation.
That's why I said we look at other communities. Some are best in class.
Well, if I may finish.
They do a good job of explaining, and that's kind of where I'm coming from, is take a look at those communities that would be considered best in class and try to model ours after theirs, is getting down to the basic information.
Well, if I may finish, I think a financial snapshot that can be explained through, graphs and pie charts and things like that, something that's really tangible, quick snapshot of the town's financials. I think if you can nail down a scope, that would be one of the most incredible things that Templeton has seen when it comes to annual town meetings, because a lot of people
A lot of that is in some of these documents that I've seen, is pie charts, graphs, etc. It shows a lot of that. That's why I'm saying we should look at the format,
I think that's
establish
an
that
excellent
format.
idea.
So are we gonna develop a timeline to figure out what we need to do by when? So it's July, so it's easy to talk about this now.
Yeah, we have some time to think and end up doing that. I would say by somewhere in September, we have at least an idea what the format would be. That would give us a couple of meetings to take and end up seeing some, establishing a format, because if the community follows the guidelines of the state as far as budget, they should be requesting documentation from the departments in October. At that particular time, we should probably end up having some guidelines to take and discuss if we have a full-time administrator. I believe that's how he's done it up there. I don't know. We won't know until we get an administrator. If we do get if we do get a shared administrator.
But
But I've seen-
definitely,
I've
people
seen this-
need to know where the town stands financially
Yep.
before that you ask them to make these decisions
Yep.
that are gonna impact their life for years.
Yep.
I agree, Mr. Chairman. I think with Jeff's idea, I think that's good information that should be provided. I like the idea about getting it out to the, to people prior to the annual town meeting. So I think we also have to take a look at what the current budget planning process and that schedule is today and build in some extra time to make that happen.
Yep.
So, I was gonna bring this up under old business, but I sent out a package on, I think it was June 26th, that had a list of recommendations, process improvements, access to data that we as the advisory committee need in order to perform our function. The idea behind it was just a collection of, discussions that we've had in several other open meetings, and put it in a form of a formal request. This is the information, these are the policies and procedures that we need in order for us to do our job, and I think that's another element that needs to be stipulated and agreed to by the town administrator and the select board.
I'd like to comment just that I think it's a good idea also, and that I think, the idea of starting off with what format to, present this in is another good idea, and along those lines, I'd be willing to, do a little hunting and searching and trying to come up with, let's say, different towns, similar sized towns, maybe a couple different variables, different type of, presentations, whether they be electronic, paper, what's out there. And, I've spent some time, finding those out, and I can bring them in to our next meeting.
Like Mr. Bennett said, that some communities, there's two forms that I've seen communities do. Because of budget constraints, I don't see us creating one and sending it out to all the folks. But the actual document can be put on the website. Something can be put in to suggest that the townspeople go onto the website to take and bring this booklet
Light
in
company can send stuff out.
with them to town meeting. That's what's done in some communities. And at least have it placed on the website. So that it's available in a time frame that people can look at this and before they go to annual town meeting. So there's some point towards the end of, let's see, we're talking about March, April, sometime in April would be, to me, is the deadline that they can put that in. My only concern there, and this is just basically based upon our experience the last 4 years, is the budget process has gone up to the last dong, and things are changing. I see some communities that have a budget, their budget is done by March. That's it. And this is coming from the selectman and the administrator. Can we get there? I don't know. I would like to see us.
Depends on the new guy.
Right, it would depend on him. He's probably got experience on that. Will we make the March timeframe? No, I don't know. I mean, that's a discussion maybe that can be had with him, when a permanent administrator comes on board, to take and end up seeing how we can integrate with him to take and end up making that happen.
Can't get any worse.
Don't say that. Just don't say that.
Don't say that, all right.
If the board would, or the committee would like for me to take and end up looking at like-size communities, or some that I have looked at, I can end up sending that list out, and you choose something off that list. to go off and get an example.
Yeah, makes sense. If we don't take a stab at it, it's not gonna happen, and it's not fair to people to come to town meeting and make decisions with no information.
We've gotta start somewhere.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
I'm sick of the bait and
I'll
switch
entertain
stuff too.
something around that we establish we'll start to look at the format and get some stuff in.
Yep.
From other communities, at least, for the next meeting, or the next two meetings, at least establish that. So,
Do you want a motion?
I'm
on
looking
that?
for a motion to take it into,
Alright.
looking at other communities and get formats, take it into, so we can look at.
Julie's motion.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Should we do that at the same time?
We have a motion and a second to take it into, having us to get, establish, some formats from other communities for the next meeting or two. And start to get that format ready for us to establish that. We have some time. The closer we get into budget, we'll probably be meeting at least twice a month, if not more often. We have a motion and a second. Darlene,
Yes.
way down there. Bev,
No mic.
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Discussions on actions needed for email name change and new domain. As you saw, I ended up something to back to Holly about going to the new domain. It presents problems for us because of the volume of emails and the length of emails. It's been since 2011. I look back, and that's a lot of emails to end up going through, and I'm not, some of them probably could be discarded, some of them need to be kept. Everybody saw what I had put out there, and I'm looking for us to have a discussion around that.
Did you get the latest email from?
No,
Okay, because there was one that came out today at 3:36. And it says, "Good day. As with the last email on this subject, I have pointed it to your personal email address as well, since you seem reluctant to use the new town address created for you. We did not anticipate that you would delete the old emails, accepting your intent toward preserving transitory emails, i.e. correspondence encountered in the daily administration of the unit and its programs, including acknowledgements, courtesy correspondence, declined invitations, meeting announcements, scheduling changes, and the like, which do not have to be preserved. I have had Holly put 2 disks in your box, which I believe should be sufficient for you to save your inbox and sent box. You can then give them to Holly for preservation. Should you desire to delete records, we can provide you with additional guidance. In the meantime, the conversion to a new email address is a separate matter that need not be delayed. While I don't believe you can force your old Gmail account to roll over into the new town account, you can put an out-of-office vacation notice on your old Gmail account, pointing people to your new templeton1.org account. You can then periodically go in to recover any messages which people did not forward them to the town account for preservation for a period of 60 days or so. You can then shut down after this transition period. Kindly understand this office will now be communicating with the advisory committee only through this new official address at templeton1.org. This is where we contract the service and are assured of record retention as the responsibility of the vendor under our terms of contract. Many thanks, Carter Terenzini. Do we have a policy in town for record retention? Because 2 disks, I work in a school, we have old computers, very few of them, that actually have a CD-ROM drive.
Yeah.
If you're gonna put all your information on a CD-ROM drive, in another year, you're not gonna be able to retrieve it. I don't know, you know, we don't do policy, we're looking for guidance on policy. So, I would respectfully request to the Board of Selectmen, what is the policy and procedure for record retention of emails? That's what we need guidance, I mean, you know.
Moving over to the new domain, just listening to that, sounds like it's fairly easy. There's contacts that still have our old email address. I mean, we've corresponded with, I know that in the past, there's been correspondence with MMA, also with the Association of Town Finance on different subjects. They still have it. In fact, one of the things that I have to deal with is now, because of the mailbox, we had received information here that I'll be talking about on the new business, a letter that was actually, luckily it was processed, and it contained a bill from the Association of Town Finance. And they have an old address, and they probably got our old email address besides. So if they send us any training material by email, we would probably not get that, because of this, there's a lot. To me, 2,000 emails, and to go through those, I don't look forward to go through 2,000 emails and pick out those that we should keep and not.
I say send them all. Just put them on the disk and be done with it. Turn it over.
But Julie does have an issue with, that she brings up about putting them on the disks. If you put them on a disk, technology is has started to move away from that also.
Well, I think that was the suggestion on just how to get it to Holly. And then she will take care of, you know, how they're gonna preserve those in the future.
Ultimately, who's responsible for archiving is the question.
Right.
I mean, is there a policy in town for archiving? You know, we're not the only committee in this situation.
Yeah, because once
So-
we end up moving to the new domain, any records that are on there have to be kept. I don't know
Right.
what, I don't know what.
That was his point. Once it's in the new domain,
Yep.
it's already automatically archived by the vendor, so you don't have to worry about it once it's in the new domain. But it's, how do we transition, and, you know, what is our role, what is
Right,
our
some of the things that you
responsibility?
suggested, I have no idea on. I've never seen Gmail go into vacation mode or some other mode. I mean, I'm not familiar with that per se.
Yeah, you can set it that way. That isn't a big deal, but it's just, yeah, I don't wanna get gigged because we did it wrong. You know, all we have to say that we should do this is this email. That's it. That's our only backup, okay? And after some of the interactions I've had personally with the administrator, this isn't enough for me. So, just saying.
Yes,
I'll still be part of the new generation here, the tech generation. I could recommend, and I could definitely show you how to do this, there's auto forwarding. So you don't have to close the Gmail account. What you can do is that you take all the messages and you put on that vacation mode. That's something that, so that anytime somebody emails that, it will say, please email this, I have a new domain. Keep
I've done that on the Microsoft, but not.
Okay, and it's fairly similar. Google's very intuitive, so you can set that up. And then after that, what you can do is keep the Gmail account still open, but have an auto forward. So say, 5 years down the road, something that once emailed that account, emails it again, you can have it sent directly to your new email address. So you don't have to close it, you don't have to worry about missing any emails, but the people who frequently contact you will know to go to that already. And then anything that comes in there, instead of checking it back periodically, will get forwarded there. As far as the archiving, what you can do with that is Google has a function where you can just archive everything, and you can download that in one single download. So what it will do is it'll put it in a zip file. You can put that right on a thumb drive, whichever method you want to deliver it to Holly, and that can actually be backed up onto our archive system, because all the emails on our domain actually get automatically archived. So all you'd have to do is drop that into the archive folders that we already have running on the servers, and that takes care of that. So the main concern, I think, from the board was those two issues, losing the contacts and losing the emails, which can be remediated by forwarding and putting on the vacation, and then the archiving, I mean, that's something that we do retain on the servers. So Google has that, and I can definitely show you that, Will. It's take you probably 5 minutes to do it.
Just having a thumb drive.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems like a big complicated beast, but like I said, being part of the tech generation, it's definitely something you can just route and it will take care of your worries.
You know, can I ask a question on that? What does that do for the, you know, the Gmail account as far as, you know, any archiving or, what's the term I'm looking for? I just lost the train of thought here, but basically the archiving of, you know, even the interaction within that account, the forwarding through that account, are we responsible, or who is responsible for archiving that?
For anything that's being forwarded?
Yeah.
So if it's forwarded, what would take place is, if it gets forwarded from one email address to the email address on our servers, anything that gets sent to that email address would automatically be recorded. It would automatically, because it would be on record as being sent to that new email address. So that would kind of mitigate that risk of losing any of the data coming to that other email address. So it all get forwarded here, and on this, the town's email address, it would be saved.
And it would take away any responsibility to archive potentially the
Yep.
Gmail?
Unless for whatever reason Google went under and Gmail services ceased to exist, they last, I think the contract, or I don't know if there's a formal contract, but they will never delete your email account. So,
In that email, it said that we got 2 discs. I got 8 mail today. In fact, I have some that we received here, plus the open meeting law stuff, and I also gave to one of the members. And that's the only thing in the box. There was nothing else in the box.
I mean, this just came in at 3:30, so.
So I do think if we can establish that basically the advisory committee is not responsible for the archiving of the emails, then it kind of takes it right off our plate.
yeah, you don't have to,
If there's a
you don't have to
policy.
physically store them anywhere. As long as you can get all the information to Holly, that we can take care of the archiving. Or the town can, not me personally, but the town can take care of it.
Yeah, there should be some kind of sign-off sheet so we're not liable or responsible
Yeah.
for it. That's how I feel. That's where I'm at right now.
Concern that Julie has. Does anybody else have any concerns?
I
mean, have a
agree with
concern.
her.
I have a concern.
I agree with her. I'd like to see
I'd
a
like to see us
policy
eventually
now.
do that,
A
but.
policy, written policy, so that we can say,
Right, there
this
should
is
be
what
some-
we
there
got,
should
and
be
this
something
is
in
how we
place,
get it.
Because we're not the only public body that has used, outside of the domain. There was at least 3 other public bodies that were listed on that initially. And I forwarded that information because whatever problems we're having, they should be having the same thing. Hopefully.
They are. They were included in the chain,
Yeah,
the CC.
that they did?
Yeah, so the sewer was included in the library.
Have they done it already?
I don't know what, if this just
My
came out today.
understanding was
I don't know.
it was gonna be that they were gonna do this over a period of time. I mean, they're gonna have the same issue. Hopefully, they did not delete any of their emails.
Right, I mean, it's better to keep the crap that you don't need
I mean,
and
this
just
is-
keep it.
This is one of the concerns I
Deleting.
had, and I voiced that town business was being sent to individual members' emails. It should have been going to the town
Right.
committee's email. And that's one of the things I push back on the administrator, that that's not how we should be working. Because what I found out, and talking with some past chairmans, is that there was a lot of correspondence that had transpired through private emails, much like what they did at the federal level. It's not within, and I mean, 2,000 emails is a lot of emails, and we don't have that other emails that were done by some other chairman.
2,000 isn't that bad. I got about 10,000 I have to read.
No, I got enough and I don't have time. Shit can't have of them.
But, you know, still the question is, you know, we don't have a formal policy, so we're kind of left hanging.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. You know, I'm not saying don't do it, but, you know, I mean, you need a little more coverage than just this email
Yeah.
to the old email account saying this is what you need to do.
We better drink.
I'm confused. I'm not understanding what the hesitation is with you. With
You ain't been
you,
around.
no, I
Right.
am. It's a Gmail account.
Right.
Like,
I
kinda
don't
with
have any
him.
problem
You'd
with
archive
backing it up.
Right?
Okay, and archiving it. But, you know, we give it to Holly and then what happens if it
Then
disappears?
keep a second thumb drive for yourself.
Okay, well, I don't want it, but that's the thing, it's like,
Concern if we backed it up, and I gave you, or whoever backs it up onto the server, if we just gave you a print screen that it was all on that server and just said, you know, this is
What I'd
certified,
like to
it's all
see
done.
is all the emails, and I have to look into this, is take them from Gmail and put them all on the new domain.
That can be done. It,
That
absolutely,
has to-
if that's
to
what you
me,
like.
That information
Then
that
it's
has
all together.
transpired in the past is not only for us to validate what we've done, is for, I mean, once any of us are off, or all of us are off, you have a committee that's in the future, has some sort of reference as to what happened, so they don't have to create the wheel again.
Maybe just like forwarding it on.
Even that's, so, the best way I can explain that is your email address, like say for Google, you have your own separate folder on some server in California that has all of your data stored on it. So all you'd have to do to plant an email into somebody's email address is to take a file and drop it right into that folder on the server. So
Right.
with your email address in Templeton, it's got a folder, some server, I don't know where we hold the servers, but all we have to do is insert whatever the archived emails that we have right into that, and it would populate in your mail. That's something that we're gonna have to do when we convert eventually from templeton1.org to a .gov, a proper email. We're gonna have to insert that anyways. So it's something that can totally be done, and if that would give you much more comfort to
Bad
see them
enough
all.
that we had records that they decided to throw away. Like, Jesus Christ, you throw them away, they don't exist anymore. Some of those might have been more important than others, you know?
And that's something you find in any community.
I
I'm sure they
know.
threw out stuff in the 1900s, the 1800s, all the
know.
way back to 17.
I wasn't even on the board when this email got established.
right.
Yeah.
This goes back to,
You know, if somebody needs something someday, at least it'll be somewhere.
And so if that's something that you guys would feel more comfortable with, I can definitely express that and get that done.
Yep,
Because
good
that
idea.
makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One less thing for us to have to worry about.
Yeah, because then it would just be a continuation, almost without a speed bump.
So would that work, however, though, with the forwarding? I mean, obviously, the contact list, you know, unless that forwarding is set up, you're gonna get emails bounced to that old Gmail account.
Huh.
So you set up that forwarding service, and if you wanna do 180 days, saying we're now on this, and then after the
see, my
180 days.
suggestion was they can end up looking at this and trying to end up taking all those emails and either forwarding them or archiving on the existing system, and then actually put out an email to all contacts saying we are now on this particular, the email now, new email address is this. I mean, I've done this before when I ended up
Certainly, I
working.
don't know what contacts you have in your email. I mean, if I did that in my company, there's so many different contacts that I have. I'd have to go through and manually do that. And that's something, if you want to figure out all those contacts, by all means, and alert them. The quickest, most easy solution is to put that forwarding service in place and to
I think
put.
he's right, because what if you alert somebody and they don't see it?
Right, it
Yeah,
gets
they, you know,
buried.
it gets swept under
And
the
you're
rug.
screwed.
Or maybe it's even an automated system that's, you know, it's on their side, they have your email address punched in. So if they send it to, if you send something back to them, you might get an error saying, oh, this is an automated system. So to set up a forwarding would be your best bet, and to put on a vacation mode of 180 days notifying it
Yeah.
would probably be your most cost-effective
But what
and
is-
beneficial.
Yeah, and you don't really have to shut it down either, so we
No.
can just, it'll be
Because I'll tell you
inactive.
right now,
Put it in La La Land.
in the last month or so, I had to take and end up changing the password. Because I saw that our email was being searched out of another community.
Hmm.
Or
Nice.
from another community. I won't, I think I understand what was going on, but I changed it because it was nobody on this board from what I could tell.
Hmm.
So I don't know if there was emails that were even deleted.
Okay,
We're so
well,
boring,
back them
who
up
would
as soon as you
bother?
can then. That's all you can do.
I had a lot of concerns, so I changed
Yeah,
it.
okay.
I'll entertain on how we go forward on this. I'll look at what they end up doing, but, you know,
I'll make a motion to, you know, work with you and Cameron to, you know, go through the process, how we're going to back up the data, copy the data over, and work that process to port it over to the new domain mail account.
because I can end up, I know, my son is an IT person. I can get some stuff, maybe there's an easier way that they can end up doing this.
Just,
I think
It's just-
there is a pretty
right.
easy, straightforward way of doing it.
Yeah.
We could just, we need to, you know, make sure we all feel comfortable with it,
Yeah.
and that we're gonna be able to access all of the existing mail in the new domain. I think that's the major concern.
But if we can end up dumping all of these on a new domain,
right.
and he knows a way to do it very easily, that's the way I wanna go.
Right,
I think that's what we're doing.
Yeah,
but the first step is to archive what we've got now.
just have to bring a laptop to the next meeting for that.
The only thing that might be a pain is that if we're dropping 2,000 emails into your email, it's gonna show us you have 2,000 unread
Emails.
messages, and
Right.
then you might have to go through them. But that'll be the biggest, you know, the
Put them in
biggest pain.
folders at that point.
Became really
Yeah, I'm sure
popular.
we all have that on our private emails anyways, 2,000 junk.
Okay, so is that a,
So I'll make a motion to that effect, that Paul and Cameron will work with Will to,
Well, I could end up checking with my son first, they can end up seeing where we are, if everybody wants to do that.
Whatever.
well, I'm not gonna make a motion for you to check with your son.
Oh, okay. I can
gonna
look,
do that.
I can look into,
Oh, it does. Oh, it does.
I'll look into an IT person.
Okay, all right. Give us an update at the next meeting, see how that went.
Because he's the one that actually got us on our private for Gmail because of the ease of using it.
Okay,
So with that said, I have a question for the board.
Yes.
Yeah.
Holly said that we were all gonna have individual emails, and then she was gonna individually send us passwords for our emails. I never got a password. Did anybody else on the board?
never
A
got an
password was sent to me for the new domain.
No, but you mean like Darlene at
Yeah.
advisory Templeton
And
one
she
dot
said I'll
whatever.
send each one of you, so
That's
she.
just what I
But
need.
that hasn't happened yet.
All right.
Another
As far
password
as I know,
remember,
I
you
check my
kidding?
email
Because
regularly and I
she
have
wrote
not
in an
found it.
email, and then I waited,
All right.
because she said I'm gonna send it in a separate email, and then I never.
Mean this year.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think she had
All right,
enough
hasn't gotten there
addresses as
yet.
she thought she was gonna have.
All right.
So
So
you-
can we
I
read
didn't
it?
know if maybe something,
Yeah,
I didn't see something.
Hospital
just
says,
deleted.
you got a portal thing you're supposed to look at. I said, bullshit, call me. Not remembering another password. And
Because
then
they
back
wanna
goes
get
and
away
change,
from
back
us
goes
having
and,
personal stuff sent, which is,
back
I
goes
think,
and changes
logical.
them all.
If we can have that motion in a more generalized, that we will look into moving the
all right.
the email and not name people on it, I would entertain to do it that way rather than entertain putting people on it, people's names attached to it.
I'm sorry, what was that, Will?
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll look into taking it up, moving moving the emails from the present account to, the new domain.
Sounds good.
Okay, so you're not gonna follow up with your son then, you're
Well,
gonna-
if we leave it that way, we can end up,
He can do what he wants.
we can end up following up ourselves or with him, to take and end up finding out that
To do it.
there's an easier way.
You wanna do it that way, you do it
Going,
that way.
going with us, it may take a more time-consuming method, take and end up, forwarding all those.
So moved. Sorry, Paul.
Somebody help me out, what's the motion here?
That we'll look into the easiest way to take and end up moving from
He's
the
gonna take his
present
crystal
uh,
ball.
email domain to the new email domain. We'll look at council to take and end up doing this.
Where the hell did you get a cold?
Who knows, I've been sick for 2 weeks.
That's not good.
No, I went to doctor's yesterday.
Oh, you did.
Been out of work for 3
Okay,
weeks.
do we have a second on that, or?
Second, oh, no, I
Okay.
made the motion, I can't second.
I'll second it.
You two do it.
Second anything.
Okay.
We'll let the scribe figure out
You're
how
getting giddy.
he
Yeah.
wants to make it right up.
It's at your discretion.
Yeah, I guess.
Do your
Will's
job.
gonna figure it out. Write that down.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Darlene,
Yes.
Bev,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. Okay. Anything under, old business, new issues?
Just this, do we want to review this at the next meeting? The document that I sent out on the 26th, it was an attempt to summarize all of our outstanding requests and process changes that we need in order to handle the budget planning recommendations.
It's the 26th,
When was it sent?
look at it.
26th.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
find it,
June?
yeah. So we'll do that at our next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I got, did I get
Okay,
that?
so
You might
we're
not.
looking at,
Did I get that?
reviewing Paul's document sent on June 26th at our next meeting.
Do you want a motion, or,
I'll take that as a motion.
all right. So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Darlene,
Yes.
Bev,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
and I vote yes. On the
Can
new
you
business.
resubmit that or resend that to me, because I'm looking now.
I don't think you were on the email
Oh,
chain at that
At
point. Yeah.
I'll make sure we have a copy of
Thank
that
you, Will.
Okay.
when I send the agenda out for the next one.
'Cause- Yeah, thank you, because I just voted on a document, I don't even know what I'm voting on.
No, we're not discussing it, so.
On the new business, I found this in the mailbox, and I also got a letter to, which I have to go change a few things. It's a bill for the coming year for the Association of Town Finance annual dues from July 1st to June 30th.
How much?
Is it 50?
It's $180.
Do we have 180?
I think we budgeted that,
I think we budget, that's about what we budgeted, in fact.
yeah,
Because I anticipated at least a $4 increase.
okay.
And it goes upon, this was dated July 1st, and I'm going to have to take and end up talking to them, because what they did is they put Town Hall P.O. Box 160, and there's a notation, this mail is addressed incorrectly. Your mail is processed by automatic equipment. To avoid delay or possible return of your mail, please notify the sender of your correct address. U.S. Postal Service, so I'm gonna have to contact the association to correct this. In addition to taking, end up making sure the bill's paid. I'll entertain a motion on this bill.
I make a motion that we pay for our annual dues to the MMA Town Finance Association in the amount of $180.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
just generate another email for me also, because now I have,
Do it on the new one.
the reason I say that is, every year since the last couple of years, they've used a new form to put the bills on. There was one for 16, there was one for 17, I don't know if there's one for 18.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, I have a motion, and I had a second, and they can end up paying the Association Town Finance annual dues from July 17 to June 30th, 18, at $180. Darlene,
Yes.
Bev,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. See, the town accountant actually gave me her copy in the box beside the mail. So we have to, there's a letter in there, I haven't even read it, so. Is there anything under new business?
DLS Gateway,
Yes,
accessing that. If we're having trouble getting an account set up to access DLS Gateway, then maybe we should go through, the DOR, Mary Jane Handy,
yeah.
to get that set up so that it can be accessed.
I was told that in the setting up of finance committees, and this is why I started the meeting off explaining that this advisory board is also a finance committee, is that I was told that in the pull-down menu to get us on the directory, there was nothing that said advisory committee. And I told the individual we are finance. It should be put on the finance because it lists the community. I found that it lists the community, the finance committee, and the finance committee chair on that town website, or that document for the cities and towns that directory. And it also ended up putting contact information, and this again is the contact information. This would be our email,
Right.
since we don't have a common number that they would call us. We could end up giving the town's general telephone number on that also.
Right, so I think she can facilitate that. So, and that might help with the problem of switching over the emails too. Okay, if it's in DLS Gateway with the new email, then people will know that that's what should be used to contact.
Yes.
So, I just think, she's probably our best bet to get that,
Is go through the DLS, DOR.
yeah, they said they would help us, so, yeah,
Okay.
ask.
Yep.
You know,
I'll see if I can contact somebody there. Is there anything else on the new business or old business? At this particular point, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn, and just remind everybody that our next meeting is August 2nd. We will be reviewing the response to the open meeting law complaints, along with the other agenda items.
are you gonna request the extension of time? Cause we didn't vote on who should do that.
Yes, you're right. I don't even know where to begin. Do I have a volunteer for that?
I'll volunteer, Will.
Can you find out?
Yeah.
Oh.
I believe I've seen it on the website there, email, and
Yeah.
talk to them and so forth.
And then ask them for, when you do ask them, make sure you copy all the correct people. That would be, it was issued by the Board of Selectmen, so all the selectmen would be copied, as well as this committee. using,
And up until August 16th, that was the date that we,
yeah, up until August 16th.
Yeah, I have that written down here.
And if all those folks have copies, and make sure you copy the new email domain.
can you send us out an email from the new domain? So then I can capture it and keep it in my,
Okay.
okay?
You'll get a meeting reminder anyway.
Okay,
I'll have to think and send it out of that.
right.
I don't even know on how to use the domain, if you can put attachments or not. We'll find out. This is becoming more work, you know,
Oh, shit. Good thing we're not
for a
old.
volunteer position. So, okay, anything else before, like I said, entertainment for adjournment?
So moved.
We have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
A motion and a second? After the last time, I'm gonna poll people. Darlene,
Yes?
Deb,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes.
What happened last time?